Morning, Friday, February 22nd, 2019. And I guess it's about time I talked about it. Everybody else has talked about it, so I figured I better chime in on it. Although I don't know what I'm going to say that other people haven't said already. I'm talking, of course, about Jussie Smollet and the Jussie Smollet fake hate crime hoax, whatever you want to call it. It's been an interesting ride. He was indicted yesterday, let out on bail. According to the deputy police chief or whatever he was, he did it because he was dissatisfied with his pay, which apparently is like $65,000 an episode on Empire. Now, I heard that he was being written out of the show, and that may be why. He figured if he became a victim, then maybe they wouldn't write him out. Maybe they figure, hey, you know, he's got notoriety now. Maybe we should keep him on just for the purposes of, you know, brand recognition or what have you. That's possible. I mean, victimhood is the new virtue, right? So you don't have to accomplish anything heroic anymore. All you have to be is a victim of somebody else's predations. Well, it turns out the story was false. Now, here's the thing. I don't read regular news channels or news articles, or I don't follow the news in a traditional legacy media sense. I first learned about the attack shortly after it happened and was reported initially. I learned about it on 4chan. That says a lot about me, I guess. But I learned about it on 4chan. I read the different comments on 4chan about it, and then I read the articles associated with it. And as soon as I heard the details of it, I'm like, that's fucking bullshit. That is clearly a hoax. Just the specific details about it. And then as more and more came out, him saying, well, he didn't want to release his phone to the police. Well, why wouldn't he want to release his phone to the police? What has he got to hide? I'm like, okay, that's even more suspicious. So in the beginning, I was like, okay, so I'm not saying the guy didn't get attacked, but the details of his attack are probably not what he's saying. He's spinning a specific narrative for a specific reason. So I didn't believe it from the very beginning. And then as more and more details came out, I'm like, okay, so it's clearly fake. And it just took until very recently for the rest of the media to catch on and realize it was bullshit. And only after it turned out that the people who were identified as perpetrating the attack, the so-called attack, weren't white MAGA hat-wearing guys. They were a couple of Nigerians. One of whom was an extra on the show Empire, and the other one was like I guess he was a trainer, like a physical trainer of some of the cast members on Empire. I don't know. Anyway, and they have footage of them buying the bleach and the ropes and the balaclavas, and now I hear there's a check written by Jussie Smollett to pay them to do this. And get this, after he was released from bail, his words to his fellow cast members, I swear to God, I didn't do this. Then who did? Come on, man, own up to it. I guess once you buy into your narrative to a certain point, or once you keep telling a lie over and over and over again, and you've rehearsed it, and you've got all the details down, I guess you start to believe it, right? He still doesn't believe he's a victim in this. He didn't do this. Well, who did it? Who did it then? Was it a ploy? Was it a fake hate crime? It's ridiculous. Anyway. I just I'm gonna, reiterate what everybody else has said. Look, the problem with doing this, with this fake hate crime, is that actual crimes are going unsolved. It's like pulling the fire alarm at a school when there's a real fire going on somewhere else, right? Apparently that same weekend, or very shortly thereafter, a couple of kids were shot in Chicago. But Chicago PD, they had to devote all their time to this Jussie Smollet investigation. Well, not all of them, obviously. That's a bit of hyperbole. But, you know, there were talented detectives and agents working to solve this case or get to the bottom of this case, which ended up not being a case at all, when they could have been working on actual serious crimes of people being killed. I mean, the murder rate in Chicago isn't going down. And for him to just out and out lie on that interview with, who was that lady? I can't remember her name. Anyway, sat there in a morning interview, a weekend morning interview, and just lied through his teeth. But the other victims in this, apart from the real victims of real hate crimes, are the people who were vilified by Smollet, the people who he tried to frame, which works out to be about 60 million Americans, right? Every Trump supporter, every non-Democrat, whoever wore a MAGA hat, was a potential suspect in this fucking case. It just, you know what, I mean, they're saying he could spend 3 to 5 years in prison or something along those lines and face, hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. I don't think he's going to see a day in prison. I really don't. I highly doubt it. But it's possible, I guess. Hell, they sent a blind man to prison for allegations of rape from, 30 years ago. So, an 80-year-old blind man went to prison for that. Whatever. Anyway, the issue also is that the media, because of the, in my opinion, very apt words by the police official about the Jussie Smollett case, the media are now saying, "Oh, that was just unfair." Not all the media, obviously. Some people in the media are trying to paint Smollet as a victim of media hysteria that they perpetrated because he created a fake hate crime. And they're talking, what did Don Lemon say? Donald Trump is going to eat his lunch. Sean Hannity is going to eat his lunch. I don't know what that phrase is supposed to mean. I have no idea. But I guess the idea is that they're going to gloat over it on TV, or they're going to gloat over it on media. Yeah, well, they should. You vilified Trump and his supporters by perpetrating this hate crime, this fake hate crime, Smollet. What kind of name is Smollet anyway? What kind of name is Jussie? Maybe it's a stage name. Could have picked a better stage name. Maybe he was thinking that it's like, an American version of Benedict Cumberbatch. It's just so out there and so unique that you can't help but forget it or remember it. One or the other way. Anyway. So the guy perpetrates a fake hate crime and the media are painting him as a victim. And not too long ago, they fabricated a hate crime perpetrated by a 15-year-old, 115-pound kid from Kentucky. We're talking about the Covington Catholic schoolboy, what's his name? Nick Sandman. And when it came out that he hadn't done anything wrong, all he did was sit there with the stupid, goofy-looking grin on his face. When it turned out he hadn't done anything wrong, they looked for ways to make him evil. They looked for old footage of people from Covington Catholic School behaving badly and saying, yes, this is the type of person he is. They look for every reason to vilify a kid who was completely innocent. Tim Pool has done probably about 6 or 7 videos on this very case alone because the story keeps changing, right? There's news in the media every minute, right? He's indicted, he's out on bail, he says this to his colleagues at Empire. All these things are worth reporting, I suppose. But he's done a bunch of videos on this. And one of the things he mentioned in one of his videos was that the left are really bad at calling out their own bad actors. Now, recently, there's some footage that was released about an assault on UC Berkeley. And Hannity had the target of the assault, the victim, on his show last night. I don't watch Hannity. I saw the clip. I want to know more about the event. So, not that there's anything wrong with Hannity. It's just not one of the shows I normally watch. But this guy was there for Turning Points USA, setting up a table, and a couple of people approached him and started verbally accosting him. And then it turned into a physical altercation. And I guess there were, phones rolling and lots of footage of the event. And apart from Sean Hannity, there's not a peep about it. The guy sucker punched him, right? They tussled a little bit. He stopped. He backed off. He looked down at his phone, and while he's looking down at his phone, this flabby soy boy, he sucker punches him. And I was commenting on Facebook about it. I'm like, okay, he outweighs him probably by about 50 pounds. That's a pretty weak punch if you can't knock a guy down when you outweigh him by 50 pounds. And he isn't expecting it. The guy took it to the face and just, staggered back a bit, but he kept his ground. Anyway. But again, here's an actual assault that took place, lots of footage of it, and it's for political reasons. It's indicative of the divisive nature of, politics in the United States right now. And not a word, nothing from the media, except for Sean Hannity. And I'm sure Tucker Carlson will have him on, and Gutfeld will probably do a monologue on it. All the great Fox contributors, right? I'm sure Tim Pool has probably done 4 videos on it. And that's not a dig at Tim Pool. I really like Tim Pool's content. He uploads a lot, and that's, good on him. I don't upload near as much as I probably should. Anyway, I'm at work now. Happy Friday, everybody. Have yourself a great weekend. And if you like my videos, please like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. Take care.